scapegoating, you're saying something that is truly beastly, is crime. Mass immigration has increased crime in this country in actually quite a dramatic way. Foreign-born nationals are 71% more likely to be convicted of sexual assault, 69% more likely to be convicted of drug offences, 39% more likely to be convicted of any kind of crime. 1 in 50 Albanians in Britain is in jail. Now, what does that tell you? Does it tell you that the whole of Albania is rotten, that they're all awful? No, what it tells you is if you come from a poorer country, there are richer pickings in crime in London and Birmingham and Manchester and frankly even Dover than there are where you come from. It's why I return to my point. We must discriminate when it comes to who can come into our country. We must choose who the right people are, regardless of race, religion or geography. Are these people going to contribute to British society? Are these people going to integrate in British society? We've allowed foreign criminal gangs now to dominate London streets. It's been going on for years and nobody even dares talk about it. And don't even get me started on the Turkish barbershops. I mean, I've been talking about this for some years. I even raised it when I announced that I was going to stand in the general election last year on the 3rd of June. And several in the press corps, I just thought I was off my rocker, and they probably still do. And I made the point that these are springing up everywhere. They take cash only, they don't cut anyone's hair, and they've all got a Lamborghini parked out the back. Well, I'm pleased to say the National Crime Agency has now raided 300 of these over the course of the last month, and perhaps they should follow my social media a little bit more. Think about this. The Home Secretary has promised that she will, by the end of the year, start to publish the crime statistics, and I hope that she does. I hope she lives up to her word. Because when this has happened in the rest of Europe, it has led to very dramatic political changes with the rise of parties, many of whom we would not ourselves wish to directly associate with. One little example. Denmark allowed in 321 people, Palestinians, a couple of decades ago, and 64% of that number have been convicted of crime. It is stats like that that are fundamentally changing politics across Europe and in a way that can often be, I think, pretty unhelpful and further widen division. And that division we've seen here too. I'm afraid we've seen, and I predicted this some years ago, the growth of sectarian politics. You know, the 4 people sit behind me in the chamber, along with Mr. Corbyn, but the 4 are Gaza independents. Their vote is purely on religious lines. Now, I've never seen sectarian politics in my lifetime in England, but I have seen it in Northern Ireland and all the baleful consequences that that led to. I have a feeling that this is an issue that will really start to hurt the Labour Party by the time the next general election comes along, where the Gaza independents will win many, many more seats. Let alone South Asian gangs fighting on the streets of Leicester, or the fact that 1 million people who are living here permanently speak little or no English whatsoever. We have to be careful, and we've been subjected to lies, lies, lies. Now, we're in Dover because it was here in 2020, just as the pandemic was kicking in and lockdown was starting, that I began to go out from this port to film the migrant boats crossing. It was a story that, you know, I mean, sort of Radio Kent would cover it. It was a local story, but a story that nationally wasn't being told. And it was very clear to me in 2020, and I said that, frankly, you might as well put up a sign on the White Cliffs of Dover, everyone welcome. And I predicted there would be an invasion. It's a word that got me in very big trouble. But have a look at the numbers that have come. As for this government promising it would smash the gangs, I never believed a word of it. There's as much chance of that working on our current course as there is of smashing the drug gangs, something we've heard from governments for decade after decade, yet Class A proliferates on every street in the country today. Labour are doing very, very badly indeed. In fact, year on year, the the numbers crossing the Channel are 40% up already. And that's before we get the warmer water and the longer, clear, settled spells of weather. This is a national security emergency. And one of the trends that we've noticed in the last few weeks are now a number of young Palestinians coming in from Gaza. And of course, they claim asylum. They'll be granted asylum. But frankly, letting people in from war zones, young males of fighting age from war zones, when you don't know what their involvement in those areas might have been, is an incredibly dangerous thing to do. And I am the only party leader that has been trusted on legal immigration. I've been arguing it since 2004. And on illegal immigration, I've been arguing it since 2020. These local elections on May the 1st, this issue will have a huge impact. I will give you but one example this morning, which is a northern constituency called Runcorn and Helsby. There are 750 young men living in that constituency who have crossed the English Channel. 750 of them, just in one constituency. And the big debate and the big press coverage is all about the hotels, something else that I exposed back in 2020. But the hotels, frankly, are the least of the problem. It's the HMOs that are increasingly becoming the issue. The houses of multiple occupancy. And as we've been out and campaigned in that constituency, yes, that house there are 10 men living in that house. There are 15 men living in the house round the corner. They loiter all day on the streets. They follow our kids to school. We're scared to go out in the evening. These are the impacts. These are the impacts on the lives of a huge number of people in this country. And yet Westminster just wants to cock a deafen. It doesn't really want to engage with any of these things. The cost just in that constituency alone to local government is £85,000 a day. And it's the same here in Kent, and it's the same everywhere. The total cost for housing these people is not all met by national government through taxation. 20 to 25% of it has to be met by local authorities. Well, you might say it's all well and good moaning and complaining about the failures of the two so-called main, maybe not for long, political parties. What I've tried to do there is to lay out some statistics over a broad range of issues to show you the extent to which this population explosion has damaged the quality of, I haven't even mentioned the roads, has damaged the quality of life for so many people. So what do we, as the most trusted party in this area, what do we intend to do about it? Well, frankly, the whole thing is pretty fruitless unless we leave the European Court of Human Rights and repeal the 1998 Human Rights Act. Every single week we see people, criminals, people who behave terribly, who ought to be deported, but they're not because they claim